you ever notice how, as the years go by, your response to certain things changes? The phone rings, and instead of jumping to answer it, you glance at the screen and think, "I'll deal with that later." A knock on the door. Instead of rushing to greet whoever it is, you freeze mid-step, quietly hoping they'll assume you're not home. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And no, you're not becoming cold, or distant, or antisocial. What you're experiencing is a natural part of growing older. And believe it or not, it's something that actually makes a lot of sense. Let's dive in. When you were younger, being around people was just part of life. It was constant. School, work, community events, birthday parties, grocery store run-ins. It never stopped. You were used to noise, chaos even. And maybe back then, you even thrived on it. But as you age, something inside shifts. It's not that you don't like people anymore. It's that you've started to value your peace more than your presence. You've learned that not every interaction is necessary. Not every conversation deserves your energy. And that realization, it's not withdrawal, it's wisdom. Let me explain why this shift happens and why it's not only normal, but healthy. Firstly, your patience wears thinner, and that's okay. When you're young, you tolerate a lot. Drama, fake smiles, gossip disguised as concern, and long-winded conversations that go nowhere. You smile through the nonsense because you think you have to. But at some point, something clicks. You stop laughing just to be polite. You stop nodding at ideas that don't make sense. You don't engage just to fill the silence. You start choosing honesty over harmony. Not to be rude, but to be real. You've done your time in the emotional trenches. Now, you guard your energy like a precious resource, because it is. Another reason is that your priorities evolve. Suddenly, you're asking different questions. Things like, who actually adds to my life? Who drains me? What feels good? And what just feels like obligation? You stop chasing full calendars and packed weekends. You start craving stillness, sincerity, and people who see you, not just people who talk at you. If that means fewer invites or fewer phone calls, so be it. You'd rather be alone in peace than surrounded in pretense. Thirdly, grief changes your emotional landscape. As you grow older, you inevitably lose people, sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once. Friends move away, loved ones pass, connections fade, and each loss quietly reshapes your world. You realize rebuilding your social circle isn't always the goal. Sometimes it's about holding on to the parts that still feel whole and letting the rest stay quiet. That's not depression, that's reverence. It's knowing life is finite and choosing depth over distraction. That brings us to the fourth reason. Social fatigue is real. Not the kind you fix with a nap or a day off. I'm talking about that deeper fatigue, the kind that builds after a lifetime of navigating personalities, playing peacekeeper, showing up even when you had nothing left to give. A 1-hour coffee with the wrong person can leave you drained for the rest of the day. A big family gathering might feel like a circus instead of a celebration. So now, you're selective. You say no more often. You protect your calm like it's sacred, because it is. Another reason is you finally know yourself, and you honor that. You've spent years learning what makes you tick, what brings you peace, what sends you into a spiral. And now, you stop putting yourself in rooms that make your heart race or your shoulders tense. You know which people leave you feeling better and which leave you feeling like you need a nap. You don't avoid out of fear. You avoid out of respect for yourself. That's strength. Quiet, hard-earned strength. And finally, time feels different. When you're young, an hour feels like an afternoon. When you're older, an hour feels like a heartbeat. You understand that your time isn't just something to spend, it's something to invest. And if a conversation doesn't feed your soul, if a gathering feels more draining than joyful, you don't feel bad for choosing silence instead. Because silence isn't empty. It's full of everything you've come to appreciate. A cup of tea, a good book, a soft breeze through an open window. You no longer feel the need to explain your absence, your choices, or your solitude. You're not disappearing. You're just finally living on your own terms. And there's nothing more powerful than that. If this message resonated with you, you're in the right place. This is a space for peace seekers, deep thinkers, and those who are growing older with grace, intention, and heart. Subscribe for more quiet truths, gentle reminders, and real talk from a life well lived. Thanks for being here. See you next time.